Abby. I'm a fiber artist and I am here to talk about all things makes and pop-up markets. And my reason for coming on tonight is to tell you all about the amazing market that I had yesterday. And you saw already my quick video of what my tent looked like before. And then I did not do an end because it was really hot and it was a long market and people were just kind of ready to go. But maybe about 2 hours before the event ended, I did take a still photo because my family was asking how it was going, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Like this is all I have left. So I do have that one still photo and I will put that in at the end. But so this was a street festival that was sponsored by a brewery in a town, a couple towns over, about 30-minute drive. Really, one thing that I really liked about it was actually like the brewery marketing people put on the pop-up, and it wasn't like like a third-party organizer. I honestly, like, it was so much more organized than events that I have done at a different brewery where there was actually like a market organizing company sponsoring it. And I just really appreciated how well the brewery employee did everything. Like, I got a couple of emails throughout the week, like with maps and like, okay, this is where you're gonna be. And then the night before, I got the final email saying that she had like gone onto the street and marked in chalk the numbers, and then so like I knew which number where my tent was gonna go, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. She did say multiple times throughout the week that the streets are gonna be closed. And I think that has to do with some legal stuff, and that it being a brewery, and there was outside drinking allowed, which is usually not allowed in North Carolina. But there was a very heavy police presence there. But anyway, I think that might have been the rule, to block the streets, or block the one street where this festival was. The report time was supposed to be 10 a.m. I got there like 9:45. And holy mother of cheese, guys. I go up to where, I'm like following because I kind of knew where it was, but not really. So I'm using my Google map and I'm pulling up really, really close. And there is a massive, not like New York or anything. This is a small town here in, Piedmont, North Carolina, but a extremely loud and for about 3 blocks extremely crowded political protest going on. And I was shooketh. This was the last place where I would think that there would be one of those protests that I found out later were happening all across the country, which kind of tells me I'm a little uninformed right now. I need to be doing better following the news. But I was like, what is this? And I had to like drive down the street where people were protesting, but the protesting was happening on the sidewalks. But people were crossing the street and stuff, so like traffic was stopped. But I could not believe how loud it was, and wow, that was exciting. But like I said, we were, as vendors, we were not allowed to pull up to our space where our tent was, and the instructions were just, unfortunately, this is the one part that I wish could have been a little better: find a place to park and unload your vehicle. Well, I did. I found an empty parking space at a cafe that was like kind of around the corner from where I was going to be. I got as far as like taking one table out of my car and like trying to navigate through all these people and their noisemakers and they're loud and their posters and everything, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna do this? Because I'm only carrying like, I think it was even like my later 4-foot table, like maybe, or just like around the corner, half a block and then half a block. And I'm just like, excuse me, I'm behind you, I'm sorry, can you let me through please? Because like the sidewalks were so crowded. And I'm just like, how am I gonna get my tent? from that parking space over in the cafe over to like my area on this blocked off street. And the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful marketer for the brewing company was like, okay guys, I am gonna I'm gonna unblock the street just so that you guys can pull in, get everything out of your car, and then find a place to park. Thank God. All right, so, and you know, also I thank God I was a little bit early, but not too early, because other people had been like an hour early, and they really were like parked a couple blocks away and having to tote everything over. I don't have a wagon, I probably should, but I just don't have one yet, and there's no way I would have been able to get everything from where I had to park. But that was interesting. And then when I got my car unloaded, I do know that of 2 public parking lots nearby, they were both full. All my stuff and my cash box and, you know, my tables and you know, my stuff that I sell was by itself. You know, I didn't have anybody coming with me in my little market area. I did have neighbors that I did introduce myself to, and they were very, very nice. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go park my car. Could not find a public parking space. I ended up parking in a shopping center lot, but there were signs, you know, customers only, you will be towed. And I'm like, okay, like maybe not today with all the crazy happening here. Like, I mean, I'm not judging. Just the excitement happening with the political protest. I was like, well, maybe they won't enforce that, but you know, the first couple of hours of the market, I would tell my neighbors, like, excuse me, I'm just gonna go see if there are any open parking spaces in the public lots and if my car has been towed yet. And they were super nice, but this event was crowded, and I didn't want to leave for more than longer than a bathroom break, because I didn't want to miss out on any sales. So let's get to that, because I said it was amazing. I'm gonna be straight with you guys. I've been doing markets for about 6 months. I started last fall. Well, no, longer than that, 8 months. I did one in October of 2024, and I've gotten kind of addicted, and so I do several events a month. But you know, if I do $150 after making my booth fee, I'm happy. I do set up at a free market most weeks. And because it is free, I am happy with any money that I make, but sometimes, you know, I'll only sell like 3 items, make $40, and you gotta, you know, you still have to unload the car to put your tent up, put your tables up, and that does not equate to a lot of money, factoring in the time that it takes for me to make things, and then to go to the market. It can be a little disappointing, but I've just been really optimistic that I was gonna find my audience and find my niche, and this is a new market. That only got going last winter. I remember like the first couple times it was freezing. And so I'm like, you know what, like this is gonna pick up momentum. And the organizer is wonderful. She's super supportive. I don't want to disappoint her by not going. So I do spend a lot of my Sundays at that market, but you know, I don't typically. I think one time there was another festival in town and I made $200 and I was thrilled. But that, you know, it's didn't have to subtract any booth fees. So, and I always have fun, and I love it's, the organizer wants consistency. Like, she actually wants the same people showing up, and not like having a different variety of vendors coming in. And I've made some friends, so, you know, I'm not mad about it. But here we go. Let me tell you what sold. I am not going to show photos of everything just because it was so much. But let me go down the list. Okay, so the event opened, the event was supposed to be from 12 to 7. And I had gotten my car unloaded and my, you know, tent up, tablecloths on, crates up, pretty well organized, maybe not 100%, but by 11, I was pretty well set up. And that was about the time where the protest was dying down, and people were walking through that closed street, probably to get back to their cars, or maybe they were curious about the pop-up that was being assembled. I mean, you know, they don't know that it wasn't open yet. So even when I was putting my bags, I was hanging my bags from the top of the tent, somebody was like, oh, I want to buy a bag. And, you know, I had one bag that was 2 granny squares crocheted together, and it was an owl granny square. It's by Rafa Musa Designs. So she's like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a bag. And I pointed out to a couple of them, and I'm like, oh, and I have this owl bag too that I had like pulled out of the box. And she was like, I want it. That was at 11:04, and the event wasn't even gonna start until 12. And she wanted a price, and I just said $35, and she was like, yes, I want it. At 11:10, a family walks by, and the little boy sees a big snake that I had on the table. And first he had picked up the stingray, but then he decided later that he wanted the jellyfish. So a snake and a jellyfish, $35. Like, it's an hour before the market's even gonna open, and I have already sold $70 worth. So I just couldn't believe what a great day I had yesterday. So I'm just gonna go down the list, and I recognize some of my prices are way too low because I've had some of this stuff for a long time and it needs a home, and I've just been discounting it, trying to get it out and put new things into my tent because I think I've just gotten better at picking out patterns. I am a better crocheter now than even a few months ago. So some things I have really marked down, but I'm gonna go down the list right now. All right, so I did the owl bag, the snake, and the stingray actually got swapped out for the jellyfish. $70 right there. I sold a little tiny whale, maybe about this big, $5. Sold a small loaf cat, $10. I had a little loaf pig and a taco, $20. A taco and my little tiny blueberry turtle, $18. A chicken, $10. A little tiny axolotl that I've had forever, $5. Orange turtle, if you saw my What I Made video from a couple days ago, orange turtle got sold, and a leggy frog, $20. Sold it, what people are calling the dashboard ducks, I call them ducks for Jeeps. Sold a duck, $10. Sold a googly eyed, you know those like little rings with the googly eyes that kids wear. I don't know if I have a photo. Sold that, $10. Sold a dino, $30. Another frog, $10. A taco, $10. My last cat, and it was little, $5. A whale and a stingray, $20. A reasonably sized turtle, and that was actually from the vendor across from me. Said she'd been looking at it all day and she had to get it, $30. I just lost my place. An octopus keychain, $5. 2 Pop-Tarts, $10. These little tiny purse charms that are actually little purses, and I would call them purses for your purse. I've had them forever. I've had them since my first market. They do not move. They get no attention. Suddenly they did yesterday, and I've had these for months. Little tiny purse, $5, because they were not moving at 10. I had a little box of French fries that I've had for a while. I had a burger that got sold at a market back in March. Still haven't made another burger, but the French fries and a snake, $35. French fries and a snake, that's an interesting combination. A snail and a duck, $25. Lemon turtle, $15. This elephant that I have had since Christmas, and a flower pillow that I made for it was called like the Bloom and Brew Fest. That was 2 weeks ago, and I ended up like just barely selling enough to cover my booth fee, but I made a lot of floral things for that event. My flower pillow and my elephant, $75. Hello Kitty, $30. This axolotl that I've had forever, $15, and he was so cheap, and this is probably just my like own insecurity. A couple weeks ago, these like maybe middle school aged girls, probably one of their very first times out without parents, came into my booth and were just like touching everything, and I knew they weren't going to buy anything. And at one point she goes, this weird looking axolotl, and threw it back into the crate, and I was like, oh. And I don't normally say anything when kids are being brats, but I was like, you didn't have to throw it. And they just left. And ever since then, I'm like, it's the weird looking axolotl. And I know that's my problem, but I put a $15 price tag on him. Sold him to like a high school aged boy who wanted to get something for his girlfriend, and he was absolutely thrilled. He loved it. I sold my skunk that I've had for a while, and it was with black chenille yarn. That was torture, and then it was eyelash yarn for the back. I was not gonna budge on that $40. I sold that. Sold a little tiny unicorn, $10. Sold a Pop-Tart, $5. And my last sale that evening, it was probably like around 6:30, another duck for $10. That, and I added it up just a minute ago, 39 items, and I made $558. I could not believe it. And I watched a lot of you guys, and you might have been like, $500. This is me. I've never done more than $200, $205 at a market, and to like more than double that. I am so excited to keep doing this. I was so excited to make this video. I'm gonna show you the after photo, which I kept having to take my stands down and like move everything to just like to be at the front of one table. One thing that really didn't move were the bags, and because I did know that I was not going to be able to like pull up to my parking space, I only took with me my 4-foot table and my 6-foot table, and I decided I was just going to do an L, which did not leave room for the bags. So I have learned that when I just use an S hook and hang them from the tent, I think they just come across as an afterthought. People don't notice them. If I actually do have a table just with bags and other wearables, people do look at them. I understand they cost a lot. I'm not gonna sell a bag for under $25, and I know these are impulse purchases, and I know a new purse is not something that you need very often, but they take a long time, and I think I do a good job. And $25 unlined is where I'm going to be in. If it has a lining, it's $50. So they kind of go in spurts. Like there was one point where I was down to one bag, and I ended up making a whole bunch more, but they really haven't been moving other than like my very first sale when I was unpacking them. But for my next markets, because I hardly have anything else left, I am definitely going to have room on my tables for the bags, and hopefully they will start moving because they're beautiful, if I say so myself, and I enjoy making them. It's something that I would buy as a consumer. Like I'm a middle-aged female. I can only have so many desk buddies. I don't think I would buy like an amigurumi turtle at a public market. I just don't think that I love making them. I like having them in my office because I made them, but I don't know if I would buy one that somebody else made. But I would buy a purse from a crocheter at a pop-up market if I didn't know how to do it myself. So the question now, this is a good problem to have. How do I reinvest? So here are some thoughts. I think I'm finally going to invest in a vinyl banner to go on the back wall of my tent. I have just put like a piece of paper in one of those acrylic picture frames, and it falls over all the time. Sometimes I Velcro it down. It's annoying. It's not very professional. It just has like my business name and my email and a QR code to my Instagram. But I have been telling myself for months, I'm not going to buy a banner until I am well established on Instagram and on YouTube, because I want to have the access information on that banner. And I'm not going to buy that banner until that is done. Well, guess what? That's done. This is my second video, and hopefully I will find watchers soon, please. And if you do, please hit that subscribe button. I'm excited about doing this, and I'm excited to get to know some of you guys. Oh my gosh, I consume a lot of content. I consume a lot from other crocheters and kind of feel like it's my turn to contribute. So I'm gonna buy a banner. I am on a purchasing freeze though. I did decide in June I was not gonna buy anything other than food and absolute essentials, so I will wait until next month. But I am ready to invest in that banner. I need to do better with my price tags. Right now, I just have these little brown paper. I bought like 1,000 of them on Amazon for like $10 or something. They did come out to like less than a penny each. And it's just a little brown thing that I can write on with a string. They used to fall off all the time until I learned to like tie them really tight. I can do better. I really want to have professional looking tags, and I need your help because I don't want to just like buy them. Because with my brand being very upcycly and quirky, I would love to use like cardstock from a thrift store and be able to punch out something price tag shaped. But then I also want to be able to like put a sticker on it with my business name, the QR code to my Instagram, and the Instagram is eventually going to have like a link tree, so if they click on my bio you can see to YouTube. And I don't love Etsy, so I would like to have a website. I kind of want to hear that from you guys too. Like, what do you use? Is it Shopify? Is it Wix? Is it Bluehost? Like, I watch so many of you and they're like, this is on my website, and I'm like, what do you use? And how hard is it? And how often do you update it? Because I just don't love Etsy. The fees, first of all, oh my gosh, like I don't mind the 20 cents every time you list something, but just for the consumer. Like, you think you're gonna pay something and it's like the suggested price, and then you go to buy it and there are all these taxes and extra fees, and it's just too much. I want to sell from my website and have the website calculate the sales tax, and you know, for the price to be expected. So help me out, guys. Please comment if you sell on a website or promote on your website. What do you do? Who's platform? Who's hosting it? And you know, you don't have to say it publicly, but I would also like to know how much it costs. So help me out. And then, okay, so if I do the price tags and a sticker, I also like, do I buy one of those like sticker printers? Like, I've seen those pretty affordably, like just the thermal sticker printer that does not need ink because it uses heat, but then you don't get color. I don't want to get a Cricut. Like, I do not need another hobby. But I also think, like, I think some people use Cricuts to cut out felt, and I don't typically use felt on my amigurumi because, and somebody else at, I think it was Tracy at Travel Crochet said she thinks it's cheating, and I agree. Like, I will either use safety eyes or embroider them. I kind of do sometimes think that felt is cheating, but if you embroider the felt, like, I just think like I'm limiting myself. So is that what I need? Help me out. I don't know. And I'm not a paper craft person. So like, I see on Facebook Marketplace, people are selling a Sizzix or a Cricut. I just don't know. I don't want to get the wrong thing. But I don't want to have to buy, I don't want to buy something new either when I can get something that somebody used twice and doesn't want anymore. So help me out. Please comment. Like, if I want to make price tags with cardstock that I punch out, I think that would be a die cut. But I don't know if I can get just kind of like a single puncher that has something that is price tag shaped, or if I need the whole die cut machine and that's a die that I have to get. Guys, I don't know. And how do I put a sticker on that? So I would love your feedback. And the last thing that I'm gonna do, and I do already have the materials to do it, I tried back in the winter time when I made my husband a hat for his birthday, and I had bought some leather tags and what I thought were the right stamps. So I found a sunflower image and I found an owl image from two separate sets of stamping equipment, and I found an ampersand. It was a lot of money, like buying everything separately, but I found out after the fact, I should have paid more attention. These were stamps for metal, and I tried stamping the leather and I didn't love the result. But my husband also said, like, that's a really tiny mallet that came with the set, so maybe if you use something heavier. I'm gonna try. I am going to try to use something that I already have, because I do already have these leather tags and I don't want to toss them out or donate them. I mean, I want to use them. I bought them. Something to add to the bags to make them look a little bit more professional. Hopefully I can have kind of like a brand on a tag. I think that may also help with sales. So if somebody's like, hey, where'd you get this? It's Sunflower&Owl, yay. So that's it, guys. I talked really fast, but I so appreciate if you got to this point in the video. Thank you so much. I'm gonna end here and I'm gonna put up the still of that photo I took, maybe 5 o'clock. The market didn't go until 7, but just how much people bought it. And I'm just hoping that's not a one-time thing. Can my luck finally turned around and I'm gonna be successful at this? So stay tuned. Hopefully at the end of the week I'll have a what I made video, and so I'll see you in the next one. Bye.